Hey everyone, we have a great discussion for you all today about an upcoming event this weekend. So we'll get to what that is about. But I'm joined now by Nabila Islam, Democratic candidate for Georgia's State Senate in District 7, and Isra Allison, who runs Allison Consulting and was Cori Bush's campaign manager in 2020. Welcome you both to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
So before I even get to this event, I just want to quickly say, Isra, Cori Bush's campaign, I mean, amazing. I'm so glad that she is in Congress now, one of the most powerful, important voices in Congress. So fantastic job with that campaign. But let's get to Matriarch. So first, this is the big event coming up this weekend. What is Matriarch? What is this event about? Who is it directed towards? And how can people find it? So Nabila, want to give us a breakdown on that?
Definitely. So Matriarch is an organization that helps working class candidates, working class women, progressives, get elected to office. Right now, there's not really, any trainings that you can join that are accessible. So this is an accessible training to women who support progressive causes and want to learn how to set up a campaign, learn about how to do call time, raise money, It's going to help with messaging and also mobilizing. So just learning like the nuts and bolts of a campaign. And it's something that I wish I had early on when I was running for Congress. I ran for Congress in 2020. But this training it's free and it's available to folks. They can go to matriarchtraining.com and sign up. And it's a day-long training on Saturday, January 29th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. with lots of great speakers. So folks should definitely take up on this opportunity and learn a lot of great things about how to run a good campaign.
And I'll have a link to that below the video as well, so it's easy to get to. But some questions now. So, Isra, why did you want to be involved with this? What kind of drew you into Matriarch, and I guess this event in particular?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. I'm really excited about this training, and to Nabila's point, there's very rarely an opportunity to train candidates and campaigns, quite frankly, on the nuts and bolts of what is it like to run a campaign from scratch, especially if you are running for the first time. There's very rarely resources, especially free resources out there. And part of my experience, both working on Cori Bush's campaign, I was also the former executive director for Brand New Congress, where we ran 30 plus candidates back in the 2018 cycle. So a lot of these were first-time candidates. There was barely any training available or any, advice. We basically were learning on our own. So I really love, in this day and age, this sort of distributed model, as we're able to learn from our own experiences as campaigns, as candidates themselves have their own trials and tribulations, to be able to share that information, but also just the technical tools that are needed, the digital strategies, knowing how to run a campaign during a pandemic is very important, lessons learned. And so there are a lot of candidates that are even intimidated to even get started with the process, but knowing that this is readily available for folks is really a turning point in our country and the way that we run campaigns. So I wanted to be involved because I've learned a lot. I'm working with a lot of teams across the country right now that are in different levels of their campaign. So we have a lot of strategies and techniques that we can offer, and I hope to be able to help candidates moving forward in this process. Well, not only this cycle, but if they're thinking about running in the future.
Yeah, one of the biggest barriers for sure for the working class is just how to get started. I mean, that's a huge issue, how to get involved, fundraising, that whole process. So having this kind of resource and having it easily accessible to people to really access this kind of information, I think is an incredible asset and can essentially kickstart potential campaigns going into the future for many working class folks. So this question goes out to both of you. What do you find is the biggest barrier to women when they want to enter into politics? What tends to stand out or is the biggest issue that they face?
Women often have to wear many hats. They are also caregivers. They're individuals that are taking care of families. They often have to work 2, 3, 4 jobs just to make ends meet. And so that, coupled with running for office, is, I believe, the biggest challenge because, it's very rarely that a woman can take off from their full-time job to run for office. And so the ability to fundraise and to be able to tell your story also organizations like Matriarch to be able to give candidates a leg up and an opportunity to even run is an incredible thing. And so if you look at the dynamics of our current representatives, whether in the House and Senate or even sitting state representatives, it's largely male, and there's largely a lot of wealth that comes with that. And so when we look at the disparities and the reasons, really the reasons do lie within the fact that women are not able to get access to a lot of these spaces. And so having a seat at the table, we're starting to see more of a trend in our society to where we are able to provide resources and provide environments towards success for women to be able to get into these spaces. We will truly see a dynamic shift in our government. So I think the barriers are still there. We're hoping to make it much more accessible with the work that we're doing today.
And Nabila, do you have anything to add to that? What barriers do you see women face in politics?
I would say the biggest barrier, well, there's many, but it is cost prohibitive to run for office. It's hard to have a full-time job and run for office, but you also need to pay for your rent. You need to pay for your health care. You need to pay for your utilities, just to survive, plus fundraise to keep up with your other opponents. And so when I ran for office, it was really hard. I ran without health care, living off of my savings, very difficult, and at the same time trying to raise as much money as I could, even though I didn't come from a wealthy background. So I would say not coming from wealth, it hurts, but you can overcome it. You just have to be persistent. And there's ways to raise money from your community, from people that believe in your cause and what you're doing. But you just need to be able to get the word out there. So it's just hard to figure out how to do that right. And it's important to make sure you do that right from the beginning so that it puts you on a track to be successful towards the end. Because I saw too many candidates last cycle get the support that they needed at the very end, but it was too little too late. And so that's why I'm really excited about this training. It's because we're going to give them the right tools to know how to do it correctly. And so that, we won't have scenarios of where great candidates almost made it but didn't because folks started to tune in at the 11th hour.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that point, Isra, what did you learn from working with Cori Bush and having a successful campaign, having the first time not going as well, but then being able to follow it up with a successful campaign? What did you learn from that experience?
Learned so much, and I'm continuing to learn even post Cori Bush. And also, I think one of the main things about her campaign was especially, I really think that there's something to be said about running a couple of times, to gain the visibility. It does take sometimes several tries to get across the finish line. And the networking, the accessibility, to be able to get into more spaces because of that name recognition does really go a really long way. And, one thing that's very unique and special about Representative Bush is that she's from the community. She looks like the community. She is the community. And even today, she takes St. Louis with her. And I just honor that so much because she continuously is the face of St. Louis. And she's legislating directly into the community. And people see that and they trust her and they want to see her and the community succeed. The nation wants to see the community succeed. So I think that's just a really incredible thing for people that are looking to run, to really understand how do I directly connect with my community. And so I learned by, on Cori's campaign, knowing that she was definitely, the ideal fit, being a nurse, being someone who is an activist, being in the right time, in the right space at the right time was also hugely uplifting for that campaign. But also just keeping it real. She was completely 100%, from the community and always told her story about she is just like everyone else who's living in that district. So I think that's the most important thing that I carry out with me in terms of training others who are running is not try to be anyone but yourself, because you have to understand your why, and your why is because you are a member of that community and you want to see the community thrive and you're looking for the best future for that community. So really paying attention to that and honing in on that message is really the best way to be successful. And so whether you're fundraising or you're talking to donors from other states to try to support your campaign. Really tell the story as to how your dollars are going to really contribute towards change. And I think that that is the most valuable thing that we can take away from Cori Bush's race and other successful races, because the authenticity matters more than anything.
Absolutely. And it's going to be a fantastic event. I'm so glad this resource exists for the working class, for working class women. Before I go, though, Nabila Islam, you got to plug your race for state senate. Where are you running, and when's that coming up? And how can people get involved to help you?
Yes. So, Isra, I just want to say I definitely agree. You learn a lot from running multiple times. You learn a lot. You learn more from your losses than you do your wins. This is what I hear some people say. And I'm now running again for State Senate District 7. It's a newly created district. It's an open seat with no incumbent. It's a safe blue seat. So whoever wins, whichever Democrat wins this race on May 24th, will be the presumed senator-elect for District 7. It is in the suburbs of Gwinnett County. It's 65% black and brown. I'm a member of the community. I look like the community. I've shared the lived experiences there, and I'm fighting to, be a progressive fighter in the state senate for District 7. And if you want to learn more about my campaign, you can go to NabilaIslam.com and or follow me on Twitter at Nabila for Georgia. No, Nabila FORGA07. I didn't have to change it since I ran for the 7th. I ran for the 7th again.
Well, that's amazing. So I will link to all of that below the video, to your campaign, to Matriarch, of course. Thank you again, Nabila and Isra, for coming on to discuss this.
Thank you so much.